Okay, here it is, the fall garden. I have learned so much over the past year about the different types of soils that I need to grow vegetables in. I've learned about how much watering, what kind of environments each plant needs. And I know that that sounds so elementary, but there's just so much to learn. I mean, there's some plants that can be planted next to each other, some that cannot, some that need companion plants. I've learned that you can't plant the same type of plants in the same place repetitively because they soak up so much nutrients from the soil that it doesn't leave any for the next set of plants that comes along. For instance, pepper plants require a lot of nitrogen, a whole lot of nitrogen. They also require well-draining soil, but they love to be watered frequently. Bean plants, on the other hand, add nitrogen to the soil. So every time I plant something and I pull it up, I'm going to go behind it and I'm going to plant peas, whatever it is. And that will ensure that I have a good nitrogen content after I pull my vegetables up. So the fall garden, I planted my own cauliflower seeds. This is a snowball cauliflower. And I got pretty disgusted with it because that beast, and then another beast over under the carport started digging in my beds. And so I tried stringing twine from, each side, going back and forth to try to deter them from digging. And once I finally got into a routine of keeping the dogs away, keeping them out of the beds, an armadillo showed up and just started wreaking havoc on everything. See that? Before that, I had to deal with the deer. I had these big, beautiful sunflowers planted right here, and the deer would come out of the woods over there, and they would just come help themselves. So I would tie my Pyrenees up right here, who likes to run off, and that deterred the deer long enough. By the way, she's pinned up right now so that she can't chase the deer off that my husband and son are going to be hunting later on today. Anyhow, these 3 made it out of about 25 plants, and I had really given up on them. I was still watering them, but I was not babying them like I have all summer long, it feels like. These are dragon tongue beans. I got these from Baker Creek Seed, and basically I planted some and I didn't know how much I was going to want, and they just did so well. I was able to get about 3 bushels of beans when I decided to just let the rest of them go to seed. And they're not quite dried out yet, but I'm going to pick these and save the seed from them. I'm going to try to pick the biggest beans. And then I'm going to plant them next spring and possibly fall. I think this is aphids doing this. I spent a lot of time picking bugs off of my plants this year. I really, really had a hard time with bugs this summer because I couldn't use things like Sevin, and, I had to control them organically because I don't want anything in our garden, like chemicals and such. So I spent a lot of time learning about bugs, and I'm okay with the bugs kind of eating on them now. I'm done with the plants, but they really put on a whole lot of beans, and you just treat them just like a snap bean. They're beautiful, and actually when you cook them, the purple goes out. This pepper plant, you can see in there how it's laid over. The stem is laid over. It actually got stepped on, and I was going to pull it up, but all the rest of my plants were doing so poorly because of the bugs that I just left it. And it has made the most beautiful bush of poblano peppers. I mean, there's just tons of peppers on this thing still going. These are a chocolate bell pepper, and they're not doing great. I think that I fertilized them a little too closely, but I've been trying to prune them back and pick these fruits off because they're still too young to really have fruits, and that really stimulates them to put on all these extra stems here. See, whenever you pull the little fruits off, they don't need to be doing all that right now. They're too young. But I think these are going to make some nice peppers if I can keep the frost off of them. Cilantro. I also learned that cilantro is a cool weather crop. Planted these way too early in the summer, and I'm pretty sure the seeds are just rotting in there. But here's some volunteers that came up. Those are doing pretty well. That one's going to be good. I love cilantro. I'm a little white girl with a Mexican heart. This is actually a tomato that I grew in the spring, and I cut off a piece of it and stuck it in a jar and let it root. And then I planted it this fall just to see what would happen. And I've got tomatoes. And you can see that I do a lot of pruning to my tomato plants. I let the top bushel out for sunlight, but I cut the rest of it off to try to stimulate the roots to grow and give all the nutrients to the fruit. And again, here is some peas. These are some bush green beans, and I'm strictly just planting these to try to make this soil pretty rich. I haven't decided what I'm going to put here next next spring, but it's going to be something good. And this is lantana, and I just cannot bring myself to pull it up. The insects just love it. It's done so well this spring, and if you take these leaves and smash them, the oil smells so delicious. Just a cool plant. Bees are going to love it next year. And this is garlic. So this is my first year doing this. I'm really not sure if they're supposed to come up like this yet, but I'm just going to let them go and see what happens. I'm going to keep replacing the leaves. But look how cool that is. That's from a pod that me and Audrey planted. Probably about a month ago. I should have the date written down. That's another thing I need to do, is better note keeping. Anyway, I'm going to post some more updates as we go further along in the winter. I'm huge into saving seed right now. I think that there might come a day where they shut all that down. And I'd like to have a good little crop of it. There are my Roma tomatoes that I'm probably going to put in some pots and maybe try to grow inside. And these are onions. My first year doing yellow onions. And we're going to put those. I have an enclosed garden down there, and we're going to do that. Anyway, I hope you'll tune in for an update in a couple of weeks.